You are now tuned into the sounds of Big Nate Sports Talk. It's on all the time, anytime.
Tuned in to Big Nate Sports Talk, the show that is on all the time, anytime. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Nathan Snell.
Yes, and as always, thank you, Mr. Anthony Handy, for that wonderful introduction. My apologies for that, ladies and gentlemen. This is episode 437. Good evening. Hope you're all having a great Saturday so far. Hope we're all able to enjoy the weather, even though it's a little dangerous in terms of allergies, because we're now definitely in the midst of allergy season for sure. This is episode 437. We're playing catch up. This is my official NFL mock draft. This will more likely be the mock draft before the NFL draft, which is the 25th, which is next week. I will then recap the first round for the grades and then break down the Commanders and Ravens specifically. But before we get into that, there's a few things I want to say up front. Last night, I had the WNBA draft grades go up live as well. So thank you for the support on that video. I also appreciate the new subscribers on the YouTube channel. Please consider like, comment, and subscribe for our future content. It's much appreciated. And again, like I said, we have one more episode after this. It's going to be recorded, and then it's a little break before the WNBA season. Then we're going to get into some writing. You want to see some stuff via teamnbsmedia.com as well as marylandsportsblog.com. So stay tuned in for those things. But in this episode, I have a very special guest. He has been on this show more than enough. And again, other than Brendan Potts, I consider him one of the chairs of Big Nate Sports Talk podcast. He's played a role in the success and to where it's at. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's please welcome Mr. Sean Spencer to the stage.
Yeah.
What's going on, buddy? Big
Nate. What's going on, bud? How you been?
Good. Even though it's WrestleMania weekend and the transfer portal for the college basketball, I believe, is closing in a couple of days, and then now the football transfer portal is now opening. A lot to keep up with, but I'm doing all right. How about you?
Oh yeah, same. Well, last WrestleMania match of Saturday night aside, I am feeling this. You and I talked about that, but no, yeah. I mean, look, and you got the draft coming up next week. If you're into racing, you got a number of racing things. The Ridgemount Speedway or one of those was today. You got NBA playoffs. I mean, there's so many things. Baseball. I think we pulled out the victory today.
Yeah, against Hunter Green. Yep.
Yeah, needed that. So yeah, like you said, there's so much going on, man.
Yeah, and then the WNBA draft was Monday, so it's a lot. It's just a lot this week, and then you got to turn around, and then before you know it, NFL, like you said, NFL draft is here, WNBA season's here, the NBA finals will be here soon, and football season will be here, and then in the summer, dogs of summer with baseball. This is nonstop, and then hockey playoffs are right around the corner as well. So, a lot to keep up.
Let's go Caps.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This episode, um, I Sean, maybe you could attest to this. Shout out to you and Tina. You guys talked about it on um, your show earlier this afternoon today
Mm-hmm.
about the best draft classes. I think that
Hmm.
this draft class could potentially have franchise changers and difference
Ooh.
makers.
Okay.
In my opinion.
All right.
Um,
Okay.
Now, I will say that for the most part, there are a couple questions that I have in terms of I think where each player will go. Again, I think this is best fit versus um, best versus need. Because
Mm-hmm.
knowing how some teams are, they're going to go with the best available player. And I am really one of those that believe in you drafting the best available player. So,
Mm-hmm. I
um,
understand.
actually, I messed up on the Jags pick. I just meant to put one. I got to fix that. Third is the Jesse Smollett of the NFL. I wouldn't go
Oh.
that far. Uh,
Oh.
yeah, I would not go that far. I would not.
Ooh.
But Sean, what are your
Mhm.
takes on this draft so far?
Yeah. No.
Upcoming draft.
I think this is going to be interesting. I think a lot of people we all want the sexy pick, which is the quarterback. Everybody loves quarterback, and I think the fact that this draft isn't as rich in at least first round QB talent, I think a lot of people kind of are looking a certain type of way about it. But you got solid running backs. You got great O linemen. You got defensive tackles that are big name guys, edge guys, wide receivers here and there. Like you have a number of guys, and to your point, these first two rounds, I honestly think we could see some gems come out to some of these teams that could really make some impacts this year. So I totally agree with you.
For sure. And knowing also there's going to be a couple of teams where I think there's going to be a trade or two. I think there might be a
Mm.
potential moving down, moving up. Don't know where, but I know for one team, as we get particularly around the 20th pick ish in that area,
Mm.
mid 20s, um, definitely I could see a trade for sure. But let's
Okay.
get into it. With the number one overall pick, the Tennessee Titans were given that pick, and with Tennessee, it's just like it's going to be all over. New era, new beginnings. A lot of people, some had a Duke Carter, some had Shador. I've seen a lot, even Travis Hunter. I'm
Hmm.
going to go with the number one overall pick. The Tennessee Titans take Mr. Cam Ward out of
Mm.
Florida.
Yep.
I'm going to go with Cam simply because I think he will be a Titan. And the way how, if you've watched television the last few weeks, it's at this point it's been kind of known that they want Cam to be the number one overall pick. And if you've
Hmm.
noticed, Shador's stock has been kind of going down. I still have Shador within the top 10. He's not dropped dramatically. I
Yeah.
just think that Cam, when you look at both of them, I think has more. What's what I'm trying to look for? All the intangibles, all the tools are there, and
Hmm.
his arm, ball handling, especially in Coach Callahan's offense, he makes the most sense for Tennessee.
Hmm.
What's your thoughts?
Yeah, man, he's a game changer. He's a playmaker. You saw how he elevated that Miami team last year, And one of the things that I love about him is it wasn't all glitz and glamour. A lot of it was grit. A lot of it was toughness, you know. The guy sits here and look at the Virginia Tech game. They came down to the wire. Look at the game against Cal where he had to come back down two scores. So Cam Ward has proven that he is absolutely quality, and it wasn't just this year. 2 years ago, when he was at Washington State, he was doing the same thing. So I genuinely believe that this will be a good pickup. I have them going Cam Ward first myself. So yeah.
I agree with that. And then with the second overall pick. The Cleveland Brownies have the second overall pick, and it's been really interesting. Deshaun Watson more than likely will not be playing this upcoming season. To my understanding, he re-aggravated his Achilles again. God bless him. They signed Joe Flacco, which I don't really see them moving the needle with him. But
January Joe.
But I mean, he showed flashes with them.
The guy that brought you a Super Bowl trophy? Come on.
Listen, this is not Joe Flacco of 2012. This is Joe Flacco. No. Come on now. But no. But I really think for me, like, I was torn here. Like, I think Cleveland could use a little bit of anything. I would have taken Shador, but I'm going to say Travis Hunter as second overall pick.
Okay.
And the reason why I'm going to go with that is, number one, I think Travis, first and foremost, I think the biggest question I think we're all going to know is what position will he play NFL? I think more than likely I could see him being more of a receiver than a defensive back. I think he has more skills to be a receiver than a defensive back. Now, I know you guys were talking about this earlier today on your show, Sean. You know, could he play both positions at the same time? Realistically, in the NFL, that's not possible. I think a lot of people, I'm not saying you, but in general, a lot of people fail to realize the transition from college to pros. The game is different, and you're asking a guy to play for, and again, that's not consistent. But I can't see him playing both positions like that, because by the end of the year, you're going to wear him out. So, yeah, Ben, should the Browns draft Hunter? Maybe he should be the starting quarterback by week 8. Oh,
Hey, tell like it is, Ben. Since they don't have Mr. 5,000 yard Jameis Winston anymore, Ben.
Watson should have been MVP. Oh, goodness gracious.
Oof.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on who should be the second overall pick in the NFL draft?
I think, I mean, it could go either way because both the top 3 teams, I think, really are in need of so much. This place I went with Shador personally, because to your point, Flacco, this is not 2012, this is not playoff Joe. You know, I don't trust that. And then, especially after a full 17, and then obviously you have the Deshaun Watson situation. Shador is somebody that's going to come in right away. He can hit. You know, he can. I mean, if they get a couple maybe receivers down the line, build up the line, maybe they can get something going. With Shador. He's got the talent. He's got the accuracy. You know, we'll see what he does. I mean, obviously, nobody wants to go to Cleveland, but who knows? I honestly, I think they will go and at least try to move and have to get him at that second pick, but we'll see.
For sure. With the third overall pick, the New York Giants were given this pick. I still don't really know how my man's as a GM still has his job, letting Saquon walk, but Daniel Jones gets scapegoated. But the GM gets to keep his job. But that's neither here nor there. I am going to go with Mr. Abdul Carter. I think the Giants need to work on their defense. While I do believe they need to work on the offense, I actually considered really putting even Travis here as well. I also considered Shador and even Cleveland. But I really do think that with Abdul, I think Abdul really, really is somebody the Giants will appreciate alongside with Kevon Thibodeau. Because I believe this is his 5th year option coming up, and I don't know what they're going to do with that. And then you got Dexter Lawrence, and then Brian Burns. You know, I could see that. I could definitely see that.
Oh yeah.
What's
I
your
like
thoughts?
that. I got Travis. This is where I put Travis at 3, and it's
Okay.
because of the very thing that we talked about. I agree with you that I don't think realistically, I don't think Travis can go both ways in the NFL consistently for 10 years. I think if you have him playing both ways in the NFL, you're going to get him for 2 or 3 years, and 2 of them will
Mhm.
be really good, and then maybe it's going to start falling off because unless he is somebody, then mind you, this is somebody that we have not seen do this in college. Unless he's somebody that is just that daggone good and takes care of his body like that, you just don't see it happening. With that being said, he played over 85% of his offensive and defensive snaps,
Snaps.
respectively, in college. Now, the talent, far better. We know that. But at the same time, got to give this guy the benefit of the doubt and see the Giants need help at corner, but they
Yeah.
also
Good
need a
point.
little bit of help at wide receiver. And this is the thing. This is where I think it would be perfect for him because you have Malik Neighbors. They just re-signed Darius Slayton, so you don't have to have Travis be the main guy.
Main guy,
I mean,
right?
you can have him focus on the defense with that help on the in the front seven. Have him lock down that back end, and then you can work him in there on offense, and not have to have him running him like a dog. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
I still have a feeling the Saints move up and draft Shador, especially if the reports are true that Derek Carr could miss most all of 2025.
The shoulder, yeah.
Yeah,
Saying he
good
might be
point.
out with the shoulder.
Yeah, and then also too, he
I
refused to
thought
take
about
that
that.
pay cut as well. So
That's
uh,
one of the things I looked at when you were talking to me about Shador and going potentially in the top 10. I looked down at those first 10 picks and I said, who would be a team that would potentially go after somebody? And the Saints were somebody that I said, if there was anybody else, you know,
maybe Chicago.
but Chicago's got a guy. They just got a guy 2 years or in Caleb. So
I'm saying if I was the Saints, Carolina. Well, no. But I
I got
mean, even the
Bryce.
Saints, they drafted Spencer Rattler, and I mean, he showed flashes. But if you're not comfortable with it, I understand.
You know who else showed flashes? Billy Edwards at Maryland. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Relationship with your children. Oh my God.
Okay. Well, I mean, I could see that. I mean, the only question is if you're the Saints, you're gonna. I'm not saying you're gonna pull a Ricky Williams trade, but but if I'm being honest, he could still. I mean, Shador could still fall there.
That's true too.
Without even really a trade, because if let's be honest, I mean, we're gonna go to the fourth pick. I have New England taking Will Campbell.
Okay, I like that.
I think they need to buff up the offensive line. I did consider again Mason Graham here. I even considered Abdul Carter. I even put the other edge Handy's boy out of Georgia as well. But they definitely need to work on the offensive line. I think Will to me is going to be the first offensive lineman off the board, in my opinion. He's shown the flash at LSU. I think he can bolster that offensive line, especially with Drake May. A lot of promise with Drake May. Just got to definitely. But yeah, for your information, Dart equals Saints because his college is interesting, but not at nine.
And Howie, shout out to you for watching. But is Jackson Dart better than Jake Hayner or Spencer Rattler? Like, I love Jackson Dart, but is he not another Matt Corral? And maybe with his OC he'll be better. But yeah,
that's fair. And don't get me wrong. I mean, and again, hindsight could be 2020. It could work. You just got to, we got to see. But what are your thoughts on Will Campbell at 4?
So I just flipped him. So I got I got Abdul Carter here, and then Will
Okay.
Campbell for Jacksonville. And that just went need for me because you know how much I love my guy, North Carolina. You know much I'm all about protecting Drake May and giving Will Campbell a guy would be perfect. But then I thought about their head coach. They got Vrabel back in there. Vrabel's a defensive guy. And you got a guy like Abdul Carter. I think that would be somebody that he would, just like a Richard Seymour, somebody that he can really work his defense around. So I think with a lot of the moves that they've made.
Yeah. 5% of this draft is garbage.
Well,
when you say garbage, I wouldn't say garbage. I mean, maybe
in comparison to past years or what?
In the past year, we're talking about talent-wise. Howie, could you be a little bit more specific with that? Shout out to you, Howie, for that. But, I also considered the other offensive lineman out of Missouri, too, with F4. But, yeah.
I've heard Campbell, that. I've heard that.
He was the all-time smallest wingspan, so they started keeping track. Yeah, that is true.
I've heard that.
True. I've heard that, yeah. But I do predict him to be the first one off the board. So
I see it. I can see it.
Number 5, Jacksonville's a little different this year with Jacksonville. I really think with all the injuries and all those different things like that, I considered a couple things. I considered defense. I think they also did a receiver, a couple other in offensive line, but I'm going to stick with defense. I went with Mason Graham.
Ooh, I like that.
And I like him here, honestly, because I just think that's one of the major fills, and I think he's going to be the first, defensive tackle taken, and then especially Michigan. Michigan defensive players are really well. I think he's the best fit. Now, I also considered Amrin from Missouri, the offensive lineman, but again, I just think defense is what Jacksonville needs to work on.
Okay. Yeah, and I went the other side just because when I think about the Jacksonville Jaguars last year, I think of that hit by Aziz Ashir, where he totally just went down on him. And mind you, he was scrambling, so it didn't have much to do with the O-line. But Trevor Lawrence is your investment. You have yet to truly protect him. Give him a guy like Campbell, who I think can play in this league, and let that help him. At least show him that you're trying to help the guy.
Help him, right? I agree.
He's getting a beating out there.
I agree. Yeah, especially. Number 6, the Oakland Raiders. I don't call them Las Vegas. No, I'm just kidding. It's a new era. Right. Pete Carroll's the new head coach, and Geno Smith is the new quarterback. I actually like it, and I'm going to give him Alshon Gentry with a 6th overall pick. They need a running back. They were lethargic in the running game last year. When you have to depend on, right now they have 33-year-old Raheem Morstead as quote unquote now their number 1 running back. No disrespect, Raheem showed flashes in Miami with Tua and all them, but if you're okay with Raheem Morstead being your number 1 running back, okay. But no, I think Alshon, I think he's proven. I think he's going to be the first running back definitely taken off the board. And his crate, and especially in this offense, I'm still trying to figure out how Pete Carroll will kind of have things going, because what I saw last year was a bit all over the place. Again, Antonio Pierce was a good coach. I just think it was just, again, a lot of it was John Gruden's pieces all over the place. So it's going to be interesting to see how Pete really gets this team going. But I like Alshon here. He will definitely have a big workload for Las Vegas going forward if he's picked.
That's why I got Ashton here. I got Ashton Genty here too. And the guy,
bad.
Yeah, he's a workhorse. He's a workhorse, and you got to think that Pete Carroll coming from Seattle. Who did he had? He had Zach Charbonnet. He had Kenneth Walker. They like to run the ball. One of the reasons why Geno has had the resurgence is because it's such a strong run game, and he had solid wide receivers out there. Now, the Raiders are going to need to, maybe get some more looks at wide receiver, but they have two great tight ends and Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer. So, you know, you have two great tight ends. You have a run game, run that play action offense, and we might see the Raiders. Matter of fact, I'm calling it now. Raiders are making the wild card next year.
I actually agree with that. I do. I see the potential if they could work. If they could get another receiver in free agency, work above of the offensive line a little bit, to get the defense going a little, work on the defense a little bit more. I could see them. I could see them stealing their division. I'll actually say they could actually win 10 games in their division. I could see it.
Yeah,
I could see it because I could see them.
I don't think they're gonna steal the division,
But I can see them. I can see an improvement. Let me say it that way. An improvement.
Yeah.
I'll say it that way. With the 7th overall pick, with the Jets, Aaron Glenn as a new head coach, and it's a new era, a new dawn with Aaron Rodgers no longer there. I still think that I value defense. I even considered offense of line here because that's something that the Jets really kind of didn't have. I kind of went, but I'm going to go with Mr. Jalen Walker. I still think we could buff up the defense a little bit. But the next pick, I went with offensive line. But the reason why I went with Walker here is because, especially knowing how the Jets were defensively, I understand. Oh my gosh, what's the coach before that got screwed? Sean, what's his name? He got fired.
Robert Saleh.
Saleh. Yeah, he had that defense going really, really well, and I still think. Thank you. So I like that one. It's basically a 12-guy draft after Tavia's top 5. Who's your next best 7? Solid. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. I drew a blank there. Who do you have at 7 with the Jets?
At 7, I have the lineman from Missouri. I have Armand Membo.
Okay.
I think for me, why Aaron Rodgers left. I mean, all these guys have left because they haven't been able to protect their quarterbacks. You got to protect Justin. You got Justin out there. I think that he's going to build up that line and he's going to work it out. And as for Howie's question, outside of 5, I got, and I don't know if you got Genty in your 5, but I got Genty, Mason Graham, Tedero McMillan, Jalen Walker, Will Johnson, Kelvin Banks, Tyler Warren, Shamar Stewart. For me, Emeka Buka, Omarion Hampton, and Colton Loveland, not in that order, but that's kind of what next 7 of what I think are going to be. Now, I don't think they're going to get drafted in that because of the need of certain teams and things like that, but I think those are my next kind of 7 guys in that first round that I would go with.
Okay, so so we're talking from Genty. So Genty, Genty, Walker, Membu, Shador, Derek Hammond, Membu, thank you. Shador, Derek Harmon, Calvin Banks, McMillan, Johnson, and Tyler Warren.
Yeah.
I even consider really putting Shamar Stewart there.
Yeah. Who else did we say? Yeah. Will Johnson was in there. Jalen Walker was in there. Do you have that? Shamar Stewart, Kelvin Banks.
Yep. Calvin Banks, McMillan, Johnson, Warren, Harmon, Shador. Yeah. So I said Genty. Yeah, those are my 7. Genty, Harmon, Banks Jr., McMillan, Will Johnson, Tyler Warren. 7 T-Mac. Yeah, I agree with that. I think there's maybe 10 to 12 very good players in this draft, and the rest will be quality depth depending on which team. And again, that goes back to, I think there's equivalences of your face of the franchises, your stars, and then your role players. It's and that's okay. Each draft can have those things. I think sometimes when we're looking at the draft, I think we're looking for the next Von Miller. We're looking for the next J.J. Watt, and realistically, each draft's different. The '96 draft class obviously had the Ray Lewis of the world, Marvin Harrison's, T.O.'s, and then you look at a draft like 2001, where it's like Michael Vick, Chris Winkie.
Why did he go to Chris Winkie?
He just came because he came with time ahead. And then there was the Mr. Irrelevant who never even played in the NFL. I can't remember his name. But I'm just saying each draft class is different. So but I definitely agree with that. I can't do Banks. He's
off the guard, yeah.
Right. Walker 6 sacks, 4 sacks in 2 games too. Yeah, I could agree with that. I could agree with that. Good. I like that.
And the Walker from Georgia, that one is gonna kind of. I when I saw him as high as he was, I also questioned because that we know the struggles that Georgia had this year. Despite how their record might have displayed and that they were in the college football playoff, they struggled this year. And I think they more aligned with their struggles than actually the team that we've seen over the last couple of years.
Yeah. Now, I will say, with Justin Fields now as the number 1 quarterback there, I do think it's important to give him some help. Now, I did consider putting Tyler Warren there as well, and knowing how the Jets are, they're kind of hit and miss when it comes to free agency. So I don't know what to expect. So they may go 50% defensive free agency, but then 50% offense. So I need to see what they're going to do. But I think it all depends on free. I think the draft determines how they approach free agency. That's why I went with Walker here, just thinking just how. Because again, Aaron's a defensive-minded player. Remember, so that's how I see it. Go ahead.
I was going to say this is where I think they would be a team that would entertain a trade. If they maybe have somebody in line that's, maybe a little bit farther back or something like that, I think they would potentially entertain a trade here. I didn't have them. I didn't do any trades in mine, but just looking at kind of Aaron Glenn and kind of what they're thinking, maybe getting more picks might be something interesting. Jets, I do Membu or T-Mac. Yeah, that's what I did Membu. We'll do. I mean, we know the Jets, so know
the Jets. They're not going to pull a Kyle Brady. Shout out to Kyle Brady. Kyle Brady was a good tight end.
God, yes. God, those fans were mad that day.
We're going to go to Carolina. I went with Membu because Bryce Young needs some offensive line help. I know they did make a couple moves. But my God, that offensive line was god awful, and the fact that was one of the reasons that was it not even acknowledged to why his performance looked the way it did. Now I've seen some mock drafts where again Walker was taken here. I even saw one where I think it was a receiver, but I really need some offense. There's holes all over the place for Carolina. But I would really prioritize offensive line for Bryce because, I mean, unless you want to see a replica of last year, again, Bryce Young was number 1 overall pick. So they're a minor league team.
Yes, it hurts. That's where I'm from.
That's Carolina. Yeah, I like that one. That's comment of the night.
It's rough. So
got 102 OGs.
And so to that point right there, what I was gonna say is after Bryce Young got benched and then he came back in that second half of the year, he looked like a different quarterback. Now maybe that was the line, maybe that was them just everybody gelling, whatever. He looked different. So with this, I went defense. I went Mason Graham with this one. Because I was saying, from what I saw towards the end of the year, if they can get a couple more pieces to help that, I think if they can get somebody to make a flip and stop, then maybe
that is true. Yeah,
So, but I see what he's saying. He's saying T-Mac, which is the Tedero and Camilla, and I definitely could see that.
Yeah,
or defense.
a receiver or some
Yeah,
defense
that's why I
because
said
they
Mason
had
Graham.
Deontay Johnson and then Thielen too, and that
Mm-hmm.
they had the Tre'Davion Sanders tight end. I think he's got potential, and then Jonathan Brooks at running back. I can see the
Mm-hmm.
flashes with those two, but I could see T Mac. He would be a good option for Carolina.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I didn't think about
They
that
need
one.
a playmaker wide receiver.
Oh damn! If Mason Graham and a healthy Derek Brown, would that be filthy? Yeah,
Right.
that
Right.
would definitely feed families
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to the Saints. Shador Sanders.
They need a quarterback.
So I mean, I it's funny. I saw one mock draft, Sean, that they had Shador with the Jets.
Oh.
I kid you not. I was like,
Nah.
didn't
Dion
they
would
just
not
get
allow
just,
that.
didn't they
Yeah.
just get Justin Fields? But no,
Dion would not allow that.
I think again the way kind of how you've heard on TV, like the way Shador has been kind of talked about, like he's looked like a second round, third round. No, that's not the case. I've seen comparisons to Brock Purdy. I disagree with that. I think there's some things I still would like him to see. I think he'd be. I think he's gonna be a good fit in Kellen Moore's system. I still have questions in terms of his ball security. I know the first year in Colorado was a bit much. I know it was a transition, whole new players, and then this season they got better. But I mean, from where he played at Jackson State and now Colorado, two different conferences and two different forms of different opponents. So I think he's going to grow as the season progresses. So I kind of it would make sense. Nope, they're trading up for number 40 to get Dart for his brother.
Now, see, I'm going to go along with this and say, because you say you're saying, Howie, that they're going to get Dart, and I say for this pick, I say the Saints get T-Mac, Tedero McMillan. They get a big name wide receiver to pair with Olave, and then
what about the other
Shaheed. Shaheed, yeah. So you got that. So now you got your 3 wide receivers. So that will help if it's a Dart, if it's a whoever the quarterback is, that will help them.
I got a hot take on Shador if you want to hear a pure story from just me. Okay, drop it in the comments. Let's hear
it. Yeah. Well, yeah, I got T-Mac on this one.
Higgins in round 2.
That's interesting.
I could see that. That's interesting. But yeah, I mean, to even Ben's point earlier that you could see a trade, but I mean, where do you? And even I'll even say this because the Saints also gave up. We got him from the Commanders. From the Commanders, got him in the trade. The corner Lattimore. I can't even consider defense here. So it's like
they need something, but they gotta keep Cam Ward.
Yeah, I'm biased against San Fran. They're always gifted as a chosen. Follow the money.
Candlestick.
Yeah, that's true. We're going to now 10. The Chicago Bears. I said they're going to take Derek Harmon. I think defense. I even consider offense because at times they're offensive line, but I feel like if I went with offensive line, I was going to go with interior offensive line. I feel like it, but I think defense for sure is something that they could work on, in my opinion. I consider Calvin Banks here. Yeah, even Tyler Booker. But yeah, what are your thoughts?
No, I got defense too. I went the linebacker Jalen Walker. Because they got Montez Sweat, they got a couple guys on that D line, and I know their secondary. They just repaid. I think they just extended Gordon, and they got their other guy locked up. So I'm looking at linebacker. Grady Jarrett closer than they need a younger DT. So DT might be a spot. I went linebacker. You went Harmon. So yeah, definitely. I think we're all on the same wavelength.
Yep. San Fran with the 11th overall pick. Now, this, John Lynch, is how you really build your team. You don't go after a quarterback so damn early in the midst of a Super Bowl window. I went with offensive line because you should have invested in offensive line when you had the pick instead of going after Trey Lance. Damn it! I'm not letting that go. But I like Kelvin here. I think he's going to be in my opinion. I think with him and Will Campbell, I think they're going to be he's going to be the second one off the board. And also too, the silverback on the left side, he's getting up there in age too. But that line definitely needs some work. But I can see Kelvin being a good fit here for San Fran. I also considered defensive line, but there really wasn't too many holes. I mean, you go receiver now that Debo's gone. That T-Mac would be a good fit, but it wouldn't hurt to really start investing. Mikael Williams, I considered him edge rusher to Georgia. So you can take a little bit of anything at this point at 11 if you're San Fran.
Yeah, I got the best corner in the position at Will Johnson.
These are some interesting trades.
I can see him trying to stay local. I can see him. I got Will Johnson myself. I mean, you talked about they lost a lot of pieces. One of the pieces they lost was Hufanga in the secondary. So you're going to have to replace that. Will Johnson is, to me, like Mike Samerstill was last year, one of the best corners, the best corner in the draft. And he didn't even play any snaps because he was hurt this year. As long as he comes back healthy and 100%, that football IQ is through the roof. And I like Will Johnson here.
For sure. We're going to number 12. We're going to Jerry World. Okay. Now you just walk with me for a second. T-Mac.
Oh.
I think would be a good fit. I think with his size, his athleticism, I think a number 2 wide receiver alongside CD, I think would be a good fit. Now, I also consider defense here. I know DeMarcus Lawrence and a couple others are going for free agency. So, yeah, I could see a player like T-Mac playing for Dallas. Purity round 2. And you're putting on the Washington stuff.
Yes, I am.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen. He's reminding Dallas equals Golden. Now, I also consider Matthew Golden because he went obviously Texas because he former Longhorn definitely. But that I had him also on the list as well. So just walk with me, ladies and gentlemen. What's your thoughts?
They all like Golden. My thoughts. Yeah. I'm boycotting this pick. F the Cowboys. Next.
Okay.
No. I got the good Shamar Stewart, the edge rusher.
Okay.
You know, I think they need help after losing Lawrence. I think they're gonna need to help pressure the quarterback. And in this division, you now have Russell Wilson, who is a little bit older, but still, you know, he's not a statue in the pocket. Jalen Hurts, who's got wheels, and then obviously Jaden Daniels, who's got wheels. You're going to need some quick guys on the edge to help Micah. This is where I said Shamar Stewart, you know. Yeah.
T-Mac gone by 1. Okay. Interesting. Miami.
By 12. By 12.
By 12. Got you.
Yeah.
Okay. I see. I got it. My bad.
First overall?
Miami. They need a lot. Right. But the biggest need for me is defense, and I actually went with Will Johnson. They definitely need some help in the secondary. I thought one of the biggest things was the secondary because they definitely showed. Because I thought the Jalen Ramsey, I believe, wants to move on from them, and they've also just had injuries too. It just didn't pan out. That experiment failed. So. And I don't know who they would trade Jalen to at this point. I don't know. I also consider the other Barron out of Texas. But again, because Anthony Weaver, former Baltimore Raven defensive coordinator, defense. So corner was definitely my number 1 priority for Miami.
Okay. All right. All right. I like that. I like that. For me, when your quarterback has been a topic of discussion for the last several years on if he should retire or not,
Uh-oh.
I don't care what y'all say. I'm giving that man as many O linemen as I possibly can. So Banks is still on my board, and Banks is now off my board. I think you got to give him a tackle. You got to give him a big guy. Somebody protect this man, because
Yeah, I
if you're
agree.
gonna keep sending him out there, no amount of special padded helmets is gonna
It's
help.
going to
When
protect
you
him.
see this guy sitting here shaking at the fingers and all that mess, that's gonna be on y'all hands. Okay, I'm saying bless this guy with alignment, because I can't go through
Yeah,
that again.
I agree. And I agree. Or
No.
wait, is Ramsey? No, so they allowed him. So that he requested a trade. So he basically they're going to try to find a partner and see what they can get for him. More likely, it's going to be like a third. I know no higher than a third, fourth round pick at best. So another minor league team. Yeah, no, I mean with the Dolphins, and then on top of that too, like the way Tyreek Hill, some of his comments he made, I think they need to just kind of not rebuild but reset. Um, and yeah, it just hasn't worked. So, but I'm not mad at that pick. Um, 14, the Indianapolis Colts. Anthony Richardson, I think will have a bounce back year. Especially after getting criticized for taking a breather for a couple plays and then getting benched, and then getting flamed for it for about a week or two. I went with Mr. Tyler Warren. I definitely think that they could use some help, another playmaker. I've actually seen he's gotten compared to the great Dallas Clark, but they definitely could use a tight end because of my correction. If I'm correct, Kylan Ganson led their group with 14 catches. That's no, I can't defend that. So yeah, LT garbage, Brewer good, J.R. Daniels good. 3 out of 5. Okay, not mad at that.
Yeah.
Is this the? I'm assuming this is the Dolphins offensive line.
That's their
Okay.
line. Yeah. Or is that Indy?
How is this Miami's or Indy's deep offensive line? Let us know. Who did you take with the 14th overall pick?
Yeah, I'm not gonna repeat everything he said. I got Dallas Clark number 2. That 2.0. I mean that's what I got. He was talking about Miami. Yeah, I got Dallas Clark. This guy, we know this guy is a utility guy, a Swiss Army knife. Yep. He's gonna be solid.
Appreciate you, Timothy.
Little threat, like the word pick. Yeah.
Because they got. I think the pieces are there. It just there's no shame. And sometimes a tight end could make the middle of the field and make things for your quarterback so easy. And I think also too that that's why if you kind of saw with Anthony at times kind of struggle, it's just like in the middle of the field. Like he needs a playmaker. So the Dirty Birds. Josh Downs.
Wait. Yeah, yes. Tim, say that louder. Say that. Hold up.
Oh gosh, I agree. I think he is very underrated because he went to North Carolina.
I wear many hats here. Tar Heel Nation. That's right. That is right.
Josh Downs is very, and I could actually see him being the number 2 tight end in this offense. If we're being honest for a second,
wide receiver who Josh Downs? Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. He's very underrated because I think he was I think he was a good pick for them. I just think the other receiver they got, just trying to figure out how that's going to work with all 3 of them. Pittman, I think they get the other receiver they got in the first round last year, and then Downs. So Caleb, his brother, yes, next year, absolutely, yep. How many forced fed stats they gave him? He ain't going to be he's ain't going to get those plays in the pros. Cleveland has real running route skill.
So if I'm looking for a prototypical tight end, I agree with this point. because I love what
Yes.
Loveland does for Michigan. We know what kind of offense he ran. He know he's a good blocker and he can catch out of the backfield. But if I'm looking for something that's more utility, more gadget, more what's my man Taysom Hill,
Taysom
you
Hill,
know,
yeah.
then I'm going to this
Two-way.
Warren. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think this might be more what Indy is looking for with Anthony Richardson. You're really kind of up and down with your quarterback situation. Maybe you're gonna try some new offenses. I think Warren will fit here. But I love Loveland at that. I just don't like him here. Unless he's texting
For sure.
Perez.
Let's go.
Oh, Mason Taylor, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true. Let's go to the Dirty Birds. I'm at 15. Shamar Stewart. I think they need to focus on defense. I get it with the whole argument with quarterback, but I think Penix Jr. will pan out, will be fine. But defense, I thought, was kind of the biggest Achilles. I also considered Mike Green here.
Okay.
They also put Will. I also considered Will Johnson here. I saw some mock drafts. Will Johnson went as high as 15 as well. But I thought defense was most definitely for sure. Atlanta had the second lowest sacks last year. I think it was like around 31. And you definitely you need some edge, pressure off the line. So I feel like Shamar out of Texas A&M is the best option in my opinion.
Yep. Penix beast. Oh well, we'll see.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. I totally agree. And this, I mean, you can just switch them out. You said you would have potentially gone Mike Green, and that's who I went. I went Mike Green out of Marshall. Obviously, we've seen what he did in the combine. We saw, kind of how he did on all the scouting drills and whatnot. Like, I think he could be very solid. And we know, shout out to I think Timothy who was saying, the Bears now they got Grady Jarrett. So they're going to need help along that D-line, defensive front. So this is where I would Mike.
I'm not mad at that. Mike Green, and he did. Both of them actually did a really good job at the combine. Both of them. So I mean, it's a make or break for both for sure. I'm a Browns fan. Shout out to you, Jeffrey. And I have to deal with people saying we brought Joe Flacco back and we got our franchise quarterback.
Oof. Well, I'm sorry.
Well, listen. In fairness, Joe Flacco is a good quarterback, and I think he makes things simple. I just think, again, what you're seeing over the years as an example is a clear example of organizational failure. It started with Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield should not have he had an arm injury, and they knew he was injured, and yet they use it as an excuse to cut him. I think ever since they let Baker go, they haven't been the same. And you paid Deshaun all that money. And now it's you're in the middle. So what will Joe Flacco look like? What will I think Kenny Pickett sign with them as well? I don't know. So
yeah,
and then yes. Absolutely,
yes, Timmy.
Sitting on sofa to get back-to-back contracts. Absolutely.
So I like it. Yeah, Jeffrey, I apologize. I feel for you, brother.
Absolutely,
being a Browns fan. How did you feel when they were saying Kirk Cousins was at Chipotle? He might be your quarterback. You remember when they were saying that, man? It's like, it's been rough, man. Oh, Kenny Pickett has more upside. Oh, okay, yeah. I got y'all getting Shador, and he got you getting Travis. So
we're gonna do one more pick before we take a commercial break, and that's the Arizona Cardinals. Jeffrey, if we traded the second overall, the second
He's trying to make that trade, man. How we said, I'm gonna make some trades, man.
Love it. I love it. Okay, this player here, when I looked back at the scouting combine, I actually had him in my top 5. I'm looking at my notes right here, and he fell in terms of offensive line. I think he was arguably one of the 5 best offensive linemen. He actually slid. I put Tyler Booker here.
Okay.
Simply because I still think he can be a good offensive lineman. SEC, outside of Big Ten, SEC, those offensive linemen, those guys are always can have panned out pretty well in the NFL. Tyler just, I don't know, maybe just listen, he just had a bad performance. Maybe it was just nerves. I get it. But I still think being at Alabama, you need some interior protection. He's 6'5". You can go alongside Paris Campbell Jr., who you drafted last year. Why not? So, and you need to start building that offensive line. Now, I also considered Josh Simmons, but the thing is, he would go on the other side. So, the thing is, he, if I remember correctly, is also coming off a season-ending injury. So, if I remember seeing that correctly. But yeah, the Cardinals need a number one. They got Malik Harrison? You got Marvin Harrison Jr. Throw Brandon Ayuk in the Park J. We give you Greg Newsom. We have a deal. Oh my gosh!
Oh man, making deals
Booker
out here.
50% of the team. Oh my goodness!
Oh, I love that. Yo, go ahead and make those deals. So I went with Timothy on this. I went with wide receiver. I said I love Marvin Harrison Jr., but I mean, what can it hurt to help him? I don't know if they're going to re-sign Rondale Moore, or if he's moved on or not. So I went and gave them Matthew Golden. I gave him this guy, so you pair that with with what you already have in Marvin Harrison Jr., and then you got Trey McBride, I believe, at tight end.
Yes.
They can get this offense in
Marvin equals like Mike. Okay, I can see that.
Right. Okay. That's why I went and got my Matthew Golden in there. So now you have a 1-2 punch right there, that you can really use. So
okay.
Let's see how it plays.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're 16 picks into our mock draft. We got 16 more. We're going to take a little quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with 17 to 32. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back. Okay, and we're back. And shout out to the 22 of y'all this evening joining us for this episode of our NFL mock draft for the first round. Much love to y'all. Please consider like, comment, and subscribing to the podcast. Also, we will leave Sean Spencer's YouTube channel in the description as well. Host and founder and creator of Let's Talk Football. Really, really great football content over there. I'm a part of that network as well. He also comes over here time to time, also trash talks and talks up with me on different sports. So let's get back with it. 17, Cincinnati. Defense is the focus because Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. I'm working the wrong profession. I didn't know how to get that kind of money, in all seriousness. But my concern, I'm going to go with defensive line here because my understanding is Trey Hendrickson more than likely is going to be gone. Because looking at his contract, I believe he requested a trade, and I think he's out. I can't see him staying there another year. Also, to his salary cap. So unless you're willing to extend him again, or unless you've come up with a deal, I don't think they have the money personally. So I considered two players here. I considered Mike Green, and I also considered Donovan Yaziriki. I cannot pronounce that right. I name dropped that. I apologize. But I went with with Donovan Izarakia. If I'm saying that right, my apologies. and I also considered James Pierce Jr. Now, the reason I went with defense again, like I said, take your pick. It's just I think it makes the most sense. I kind of could see Cincinnati taking a player like this, knowing them, because again, depending on salary. Remember a couple years ago, Detroit took the linebacker, Was it Jack Campbell?
Yeah, for the Lions, yes. When they got him in the first round with Gibbs.
Yes. Yes, I could see the Lions doing something like that. Yep. We already have we took Gentry to Vegas. Absolutely. Shout out to you with Young Money. Thank you. Welcome. I can see this the Bengals pulling off a draft pick like that.
I went defense too. I went to Georgia. I went Malachi Sparks as safety.
The safety. Okay.
Yeah, I think this guy can definitely help your defense. And you don't have to necessarily worry about him getting torched every week or dealing with that, because you're playing Pittsburgh, who they got two big receivers, but who they got throwing to them, and then you got Cleveland, who at the moment don't really have a legitimate starter at quarterback, and then you guys are the threat that they got to deal with, but you guys run a lot. So if you get an aggressive safety out there, I think that could help.
That's true.
I mean, I think that could definitely help them, but we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see for sure. Number 18, Seattle. With now Sam Darnold out there with his $100 million, you got to give him some offensive line. So I went with Mr. Greg Zabel. You
like that.
Got above the offensive line. And even though I consider defense here, I think he would be a great fit for them. Because again, Sam Darnold, if you watched down the stretch last year, when you get to him, he folds like paper. And because his offensive line does not really give him the protection that he needs. So they need a guy like this. And out of North Dakota State, I think Greg would be a good fit.
I hope so.
For a system like this, I could see it. So
I like that pick. For me, number one glaring hole that I saw is if you get Darnold over here, and real quick, let me Seattle. I heard y'all are potentially shopping Sam Howell in a potential trade. Send him to Washington, or send him somewhere nice. I can't deal with y'all shopping my quarterback. That's that. But as besides the point,
I'll trade Cooper Rush to Seattle for Sam Darnold.
I will get Sam Darnold, Sam Howell.
Oh, sorry, Sam Howell. Excuse me, my bad.
And if Baltimore gets Sam Howell, I will get a Baltimore jersey with Sam Howell on. I already got a Washington one, but I'm getting off topic. For Seattle, they lost two wide receivers. They're going to need to bring somebody in. Yeah, I got Emeka Ibuka in here.
Ooh.
It's in Jigba.
Okay.
And both Ohio State guys. They already know each other. They can then help Sam Darnold and get that offense. They already have a run game, but I think this will kind of help to start replenishing that wide receiver core.
Could you see real quick? Could you see Lockett being in Las Vegas with Pete Carroll?
I wouldn't doubt it. I'm surprised that DK didn't go.
That's what I was shocked. Because at 21 you'll be surprised who I have them taking. Tampa Bay. I have them again. I'm sticking with defense, and I look at linebacker Levante David. I cannot believe he's going into his 14th year. I can't be that old. God. I mean, I went with Jaheed Campbell out of Alabama.
I like that.
I still think he could definitely learn from Levante. I still cannot believe that. I'm like, he's only his 14th year. I'm like, are you serious? But yeah, no. I also consider Mike Green here. But now, in fairness, I consider Mike Green. But with my understanding that Mike Green got dismissed from Virginia for some things. I know he got in trouble, so I don't know if that's going to affect his draft stock. but he still to me should be considered in the first round. I still actually have him. I'm looking at my notes right here. He's still in my top 5 edge, but I'm going by fit. The Buccaneers need corners. I could see them taking a corner as well. Yeah, I also had that on my list of draft needs as well for Tampa.
Yeah, and that's where I went. I went secondary. I went Nick and I met Edmund from I believe South Carolina, the safety. Ball hawk, somebody that I think can cover all sides of the field. So that could be
South
something
Carolina.
that can definitely help them out. But yeah, I definitely think they need help in the secondary.
Okay, I'm not mad at that. We're going to go to the Mile High City. Shout out to Tina. One thing I noticed that they need in the Sean Payton's offense, I still think running backs are valuable in today's NFL system. And when you have a season like Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley, the years that they had, respectfully, they put running backs back on the map. And I'm going to go with Mr. Travion Henderson with the 20th pick. I think would be a great fit in Sean Payton's system. Because I think, no disrespect to what they have, but I think he would be a great fit for them. They just need somebody to move the needle. Now, also, with you need some type of running game. And I think if you have that, you're going to be good for years to come. Now, also consider Loveland out of Michigan because they definitely needed a tight end, but they signed Evan Ingram. So I like this pick for them. So, yeah.
Now, I forgot that they signed Evan Ingram, and I did pick Loveland because I have been talking to Tina, diehard Broncos fan. Shout out to her, host a Mile High Minute. But she was saying she loves Ingram, but she also loves that tight end Loveland from Michigan. Prototypical tight end, great size, great hands, great toughness, the blocking, and all that stuff.
You'll see Jeffrey a little bit.
Yeah.
Yep, I have them going in Henderson as well. Yep.
I love that. I love that because they just lost Javonte. Javonte Smith to Javonte Williams to
Javonte Williams? Yeah, free. Yep. Yep. And then the Jameel McLaughlin.
McLaughlin's over there.
He's not. I mean, he's good, but he's more like a 2.
They can do better.
They can do better for sure. Pittsburgh. It's been as a YouTuber, most you all should know him by now. Is the Urinating Tree, and he does this trilogy. Is like this little quote unquote soap opera, like General Hospital, but like All My Days with the Steelers, and essentially, those. The Russell Wilson, Justin Fields experiment is over, and we don't even know if Aaron Rodgers is even going to play football. And we don't even know right now Mason Rudolph, as of right now, as of April 20th, 2025, is number 1 quarterback in Pittsburgh for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I said that Pittsburgh takes Jalen Milroe out of Alabama.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And now, again, does he come off the board in the first round? Maybe not. But Jackson Dart, I considered him here as well. But take your either pick. They both, I think, would be good fits here. I still think he needs time, especially as his quarterbacks. I've learned this, especially in terms of his frame. He's very mobile. Still work on that. He's got to compare to Justin Fields. I don't see mobile. I see more of an arm. He will get a little tendency to run out the pocket. He will kind of go. What's the word I'm looking for? Gun ho. When the game's going to go out of control. So that's who I have them taking. Your face looks surprised.
Wow. That's all I got to say. Wow. I don't hate the pick. I like Milrow. I I kind of definitely agree with that sentiment that they are similar to Fields, mobile and everything. Let me say.
He's got better pocket
Okay.
presence than Cam Ward.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree,
Mm,
most definitely.
oh yeah.
But also
I
too,
think
if you
I think that'd be a great fit in Pittsburgh. I love
yeah,
that for yeah. I think that'd be a great fit with Tomlin and Pittsburgh and all that.
hmm
You got a young guy that's got the talent of the guys you just had, and you saw you can win and get to the playoffs with them. I think that'd be a great pick. If I don't know if that's gonna happen, but if that happened, I would applaud that. So I would be good. For me, I went along with something you were talking about. I think last time we talked, and that's defense. And we all know how good their defense
please
is.
don't do this. He needs to come to Cleveland, sit behind Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett.
Oh wow, Jeffrey. Oh,
Man, okay,
yeah. I went along the lines of what you had talked to me about a couple days ago, or I think it was a couple days ago. We were talking
Mhm.
about the Steelers aren't getting any younger, and they're getting
That's
some
true.
guys on defense that are not getting younger. One
Oh,
being
Cam Hayward
Cam
and
Hayward.
T.J. Watt. Yeah,
Exactly. So where I went, you already had this guy off your board a while ago. I put him on here now, Derek Harmon. You know,
Okay,
I get him
okay.
to help them, a young, fresh D tackle to come help to that defense is that team. So help to just keep that defense going. Um,
I I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad
hmm
at that. Jalen needs a year to sit work on his mechanics and everything. That's why I say he needs to sit with
I
us for you.
agree.
Yeah, I agree with that
I
for
agree.
sure, for
I
sure.
agree. But
Um,
here's the other part and I don't know if it was Jeffrey that said it about Jackson Dart. I think you could take a shot with Jackson Dart, not in the first round, and I think he might have said that. But I would take a shot with him a little bit later. But shout out to Howie, the other guy who was saying that I guess the Saints, the OC, his college OC is
oh
the brother
yeah,
of Kellen Moore or something.
yes, I got it. It's like right up. It's like up here earlier. 75% of this right here.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's what he's talking about. That's what Howie's talking about. So I don't know if that's going to make the decision or not, but that'd be interesting. I wouldn't have a problem with Dart there. I just don't think he's definitely not a first round.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, let's go with number 22, second overall, 22nd overall pick, the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm a little confused on the Chargers. Some people said they needed another receiver, which I disagree. Running back, I thought the experiments with J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards failed. Personally, and my prediction was right because I mean they're good, but injuries clearly you've shown that I think that they're done. And Gus Edwards got released,
Who
so
do they got at wide
uh,
receiver?
they've got Quentin Johnston.
Uh,
Um,
mm,
the oh my gosh,
Cause Williams is gone, right?
well,
He in
no,
Pittsburgh.
he's in Pittsburgh. Yes, I just drafted him last year too. Hold on, I gotta look.
At wide
No,
receiver.
yes,
Hmm.
because they drafted him.
The guy from Michigan.
Was it Michigan? I believe so. Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a name on it. I'm drawing a blank on him. 'Cause I had a chance to get him in fantasy, and somebody took him.
Mm-hmm.
It might have been Sean. That might have been Cameron.
Mm-hmm. Good old Cam.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so, just while you look up that, I'm going to answer Jeff. Jeff,
Yeah.
I don't have any issue with Jackson Dart. I like Jackson Dart. I just don't want to throw him into that situation in Pittsburgh where you got two wide
Lad
receivers that are very
McConkey.
demanding. Okay, Lab McConkey. Yeah, I like him. But I wouldn't want you to put Jackson Dart or Milrow in that case for that case in that position because you got two receivers that are very demanding. You got a fan base that is used to winning.
Mhm.
I just don't know that they would be successful in that right away. I think to your point that Jalen needs to sit, and I think even unless you get Jackson on a really good team that's already set and ready to go, kind of a la Brock Purdy when he came in, then I think he might struggle.
Yeah, I agree. But I mean, for who I think they should take with the 22nd overall pick, I said Colston Loveland. They need someone again like in Indy. They need somebody down the middle. I think Quentin Johnston will pan out fine. You just got to give him another year. I know people criticize the his size, the catching, all those different things like that. He'll be fine. Ladd, I think he could be a number one receiver in that system. I also consider defense, but I mean, I think tight end to me is more of a need. I even consider the guy that you took earlier, because he was still on my board, Emeka Ibuka, out of Ohio State. So if he's there, take him. But it would not hurt to take a tight end, because what they have at tight end's not the best, but I mean it gets the job done, if that makes sense.
I got you. Yeah, no, I went so I don't think Emeka Ibuka because the coach of Los Angeles is Michigan coach Harbaugh. So, but then that's also where I thought, because I also went defense. This is where if Will Johnson does drop, I can see Will Johnson easily going here and fitting right in with the Los Angeles Wolverines, because that's what they're turning into. But right now, for me, I went and got the cornerback from Texas, Jade Barron.
Ooh. Yeah. So, you know what's interesting? I have him with the next pick at 23.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They need defense.
Yeah, because Eric Stokes, I thought would have picked. I don't know. Maybe it's just that system. I don't know if it's just Lambeau. I don't know what it is, but they need somebody to go alongside Jair Alexander. And how can I compare Eric Stokes? It's kind of like, I don't know how to compare him. It just, I really, really would have thought like by now, like Jair would have had like his, okay, when I'm gone, this is now you're now the number one guy. And it's just like, no, like they did just pick up Nate Hobbs though. Yeah, they did. But I mean, it wouldn't hurt to definitely pick up work on the secondary for sure. So I mean, you could go the corner, wide receiver, but they already have receivers. I think they're pretty solid at receivers.
And they don't pick wide receivers. They don't pick no daggone wide receivers except for Christian Watson.
I would have went for pass rush for Green Bay. Okay.
I like that. I took that. That's what I did for Green Bay. I ended up going Mykel Williams, the edge rusher. So,
gosh, no, you're killing me, Petey.
That's where I went.
No, it's interesting. Our mock drafts are kind of about the same because you took this guy earlier, but Minnesota, they lost Harrison Smith. Harrison Smith's now going in at 36. Again, I cannot be that old. Gosh, so I know he's getting ready to retire soon, and they could definitely use a safety. I went with Malachi Sparks.
Ooh, okay. I like that.
For the 24th pick. I think they could definitely use a safety, and I think they lost. I forgot who it was too. I also consider a corner. I think it was a Breville out of East Carolina, but I believe he got hurt. So,
you think he's gonna drop?
Yeah, corner, safety. Because of the injury, I think he's going to be around here for sure, around 24, 20ish, late first round, early second round. He's still going to be a high value corner in my opinion. Yeah, I think for us is more need for Green Bay. They have Valentine, who's going on his third season. Yeah, okay. I can see that. I can agree with that.
For Minnesota, I picked.
Going to yeah.
And for Minnesota, I picked the O
Go ahead.
lineman. I picked the guy that you picked before, Tyler Booker. Just because what you get now, you
Okay.
having JJ McCarthy come back from injury. You really want to protect that investment. So I just went. They're going to try to build up around JJ. So that's where I went with that one.
Interesting. You didn't go with this guy, Josh Simmons. I have Houston taking Josh Simmons because you guys, Washington, we got Mr. The guy that the Ravens were really going to take a few years ago was Tunzel, but because of that clip of him smoking a bong, the Ravens said Ronnie Stanley.
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah, so you Sanders going to you had Sanders going to the Saints. I can see that, but they need more help in other areas because Spencer Rattler showed promise last year. Yeah.
So he that's what he had him going to the Saints. I had him going to Cleveland.
Yes, you did
early on, but I do think I'm one who's always been interested in seeing Spencer Rattler, and he did have some signs of success last year, but he also struggled a little bit too. So I want to see how year two, especially now that we know that Derek Carr potentially with the shoulder injury would potentially be sitting out the entire season. It's going to have to be one of these new guys coming in.
It's going to have to be.
So
whether it's Spencer, whether it's one of the Shador, Jalen, whoever.
We have somebody. And to be honest, to Jeffrey's earlier comment about Jackson Dart, that's the combine. Everybody, you see him throw a couple times, you see him a couple highlights, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, look at this guy. This guy might be X, Y, and Z. I mean, I think he could be a role player. He can fit in a certain situation. But like I said before, I think he's like a Matt Corral. Matt Corral went to the Panthers, never got off the bench. I mean, he got hurt, and then he's still floating around the league somewhere at backup.
God bless him.
Yeah.
And Spencer was having a healthy core out my lot. Yeah. And the Saints did have injuries too. Like Kamara got hurt, and then Olave got hurt. I think Jawan Johnson at one point got hurt. Yeah. It just was, but also too, their head coach just
Rizzy, yeah. He ain't there. Now they got Kellen Moore. So I think with Kellen Moore, and I gave him T-Mac. I gave him Tedero and McMillan. So he can see if he'll sling it around. We'll see. But yeah, it should be interesting. As far as the Houston pick, I did the same thing. I got Josh Simmons here.
Oh wow, okay. So we're on the same page because with Tunzel gone, Kenyon Green and Shaq Mason. Damn, because Kenyon Green was their pick too a couple years ago. So CJ Stroud needs some offensive line help. Now a same thing with it's almost like oh my gosh, the corner. I just said his name too. Revel. Injuries.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Because Josh, I know, is coming off an injury himself. I consider Donovan Jackson out of Ohio State because he filled in when Josh got hurt. So yeah, you could take your pick on who could be there, but definitely offensive lineman should be the top of their priority. But I'm going to lean Josh Simmons a little bit because if you look at Donovan Jackson, he's more of a guard, not a tackle. No disrespect to Donovan. I think Donovan's got a lot of upside. I think he'd be great. But, yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
You ready for 26?
Mm-hmm.
Jackson Dart.
No. Oh, wow. Okay. Sitting behind Matthew Stafford?
Yes. Why not learn from the guy who is a champion? Why not? And again, I think Jackson will. I feel like he could in a system where now with Cooper Kupp now gone, and now Puka Nacua is now the number one guy. Why not? No, I can't see Jackson going any lower than here. If he goes out the first round, I think that's a bit wild. I couldn't really figure out any other needs for the Rams. Maybe offensive line, maybe corner. I consider Trey Amos here, but I mean, Trey kind of was giving me more second round vibes, if anything. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hey, there you go, Jeffrey. Yeah.
The 32nd pick is an interesting one because if there's a quarterback, the Browns could trade up. Yeah. I do like this Jackson Dart sitting one watching year. That would benefit, but yeah.
That would definitely benefit him, especially behind
Yep.
Stafford. That'd be great. Now, I went to continue to build up that defense.
Yep.
Obviously, they got those guys, those two Florida State boys last year. So what I did, Jared Verse
Ooh,
and I forget who the other guy was that they got
yes.
last year. So I just
I can tell
continued to
you right
build
now.
it up. And a guy that you already picked a couple picks earlier, linebacker from Alabama. I got Jahad Campbell. You know,
Ooh,
let's get that
okay.
second level on defense going well. Let's keep building up and pressuring the quarterback. I think that he can definitely help them.
Now, as far as receiver, 'cause I also consider receiver because Cooper is now gone. So, what that means by default, Puka is number one receiver.
Yep.
I couldn't really think of anyone else. I mean, I had Matthew Golden. He was still on my
Yeah,
on there as well.
Luther Burden maybe, but
Yeah,
I just don't know that I would. There was nobody that I could bring in and say, "Hey, they'll be a number one," or "Hey, they'll be
Brendan
an instant."
Fisk.
Yeah, Fisk. That's the other guy that came last night. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's not bad. I can see that too, Sean. If they buff up that defense, I could definitely see that. I can. Oh, I think we might have lost Sean.
No, I'm here.
Oh, there you go. Um, Painfully, we have to talk about the Baltimore Ravens. And
Are you trading Lamar?
well, I mean, with this logic of most, not all, but some of the Raven fans want Mark Andrews out because of his performance against Buffalo. With that logic,
Wow.
Lamar Jackson should be traded. So,
Wow.
but I definitely do think defense is something we need to buff up on. I also consider offensive line, uh, because what we've drafted over the last couple of years, David Ajabo, oh my lord, it's just garbage.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Adafe always picked it up. I really, really want us to break out this habit of depending on guys like Campbell, Calais Campbell, Kyle Van Noy. We really need to get young on the line. So I went with Mikael Williams.
Okay.
Because we really, really need something. And Anthony Handy and Mr. Colin P. Let's talk Georgia football. They seem to produce the best defensive players, in my opinion. And what we've drafted from Michigan, it ain't happening. So maybe we need some SEC blood on the defensive line because, my God, today. I know.
Are you talking about who? Adolfo Owe?
Adafe always he's panned out because he had double-digit sacks, but David Ajabo.
Oh, Ajabo. Yeah, the one that was hurt. Oh, yeah.
No. And then also, too, on top of that, they lost Malik Harris is now gone. They still did not come to an agreement with Darius Washington, so you need a safety, you need corner, offensive line. Like, we have 10 picks, and we're broke.
Yeah.
And I mean, we need a kicker, too, because
Justin.
We're not going to get into that. But I mean, they still have not completed their investigation. But in all seriousness, though, the Ravens do need to focus on their defense because if you watched last year, probably the first 9 weeks, the biggest thing was their defense not getting to the court, that line not getting to the quarterback. And once they kind of got together, again, a new quarterback, new coach, new system, I get all that. But Mikael Williams, 27. Let's go to Detroit.
So you don't want to hear who I got?
Oh, go ahead.
Punter for the Ravens. I want to. You guys are going to be moving the ball and I want to give you guys an O lineman. I want to give you guys Greg Zabel, the guard.
I agree
Um,
with this comment. They need how to tuck the
and,
ball.
and that's another reason why those turnovers in that Bills game, a lot of them pressure got through. I'm giving you guys more O linemen. I need Lamar to get the daggone ring, because I
Something
can't keep doing this every year. I
I
can't.
can't.
It hurt my
I,
heart. Okay.
but between that last year
Mm.
and then the Maryland Terrapins losing both in the Sweet 16. No, he's not the James. Don't do that.
Wow.
Do not do that.
Can you pin that comment? Because that one might be it. I'm sorry. Ah, oh,
Do not
God.
do that, Jeffrey.
That hurt. That was spot on, Jeffrey, but it hurt. Oh,
Jeffrey, listen. It's Easter weekend. Don't do this to me, Jeffrey. Don't do that. Don't do that. Please, I ask. I'm being nice, sir. Don't do that. Come on, man.
crucifying the man. Mm.
Between
Jeffrey.
let's move.
Spot. Oh yeah. You
But no,
just triggered the man.
No, I mean, I'm not going to say is he the James Harden. I mean, like you can see it. It's just like it's stupid mistakes, and you know that they're made.
Yeah.
And it's
like James Harden.
But here's the thing: Lamar takes accountability for those mistakes.
Yeah.
James Harden has not.
Oh.
I watched James Harden he got a top 50 player as a head coach fired and scapegoated a future Orlando Magic center who just got his jersey retired. Scapegoated him. James Harden's really never taken accountability. But two different, in my opinion. But let's go to Detroit. Detroit's interesting. With Aiden Hutchinson, which I still am trying to understand how they could have him if they would have made the Super Bowl, how they would have him ready to play after you broke your leg. That's beyond insane. So I considered defense at one point. I considered that Donovan guy, even consider Mike Green here. But I'm going to go with Mr. Kenneth Grant. They need some offensive line because O-line
or D-line?
No, I'm sorry, D-line in Michigan. Because they definitely need that alongside Aiden Hutchinson because that's something they really, really missed. If you pushed me, I also consider Mikael Williams, but they definitely need someone alongside Aiden because I know injuries. Detroit had injuries along or across the board defensively, but the line they could definitely for sure would not mind that. Alex Loosemore, shout out to Alex. He would actually like this pick, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. Oh, you would love that pick. Absolutely. I mean, that's a dope pick. For me, I got Nick Scorton, the edge rusher.
Okay.
Somebody out of A&M. Somebody that can get around the edge. Somebody that can be a complement to an Aiden Hutchinson that can get going. But I love that Kenneth Grant pick. That's somebody that you picked them one pick too early because I would have made that move for him at 29.
Okay.
But I got somebody else, and I'm good with who I got here.
You ready for 29 for me, or you want to go first?
Oh, absolutely.
You know what?
Oh, no.
Go.
You sure you want me to go first? Because you might get clicked off the camera. Because let me get prepared.
Would you like me to go first?
No. Let me do this real quick.
Okay.
Doom, 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 doom. With the 29th pick, the Washington Commanders select James Pierce, edge rusher, Tennessee.
Okay. I like that.
Let's go.
I like that.
Let's go.
And especially with now, because Jonathan Allen's now gone. And we could, and again, that's why I said I still think that, and you may actually agree with this. I think the draft actually determines how our offseason will look because I'm a little concerned on how you build off a successful season like that. And
Mhm.
I like James Pierce here because I think he's shown because he had the second best 40-yard dash,
I believe
the
so.
4.4, I want to say it
Mhm.
was. And he would I think he's got the tools. And we could definitely rebuild that defensive
Mhm.
line. I'm not mad at that, Sean. He actually
Mhm.
so he was on my list. I'm looking at my notes right here. He actually considered
Mhm.
that.
Mhm. If
Are
he
you ready for
wasn't,
my
yeah. Oh yeah.
ready for my pick?
Let's go.
Omarion Hampton,
Yeah.
North Carolina.
Let's go.
Did you get? No, I did not get a chance to see the Clippers. It was a good game though. But the reason I went with Omarion Hampton is a couple of things. I definitely think that as much as I love Brian Robinson Jr., we're going now to year. I want to say we're going to year 4 now. Correct? Year 3
Mhm.
with Brian,
Or four, I believe. Yeah.
and injuries are kind
Mhm.
of a concern.
Yep.
And he's a workhorse. And I thought with even bringing Austin Eckler here, I thought would have kind of taken some of that off of him. And it's hit or miss. He got hurt. And you're asking
Mhm.
Chris Rodriguez to come in. I think Omarion would be a good fit here because number one, you're asking somebody. He's got similar size to Brian Robinson.
Mhm.
He's a little bit faster. Good IQ, and he's a little of an upgrade. But I mean, again, knowing Washington, I see it right. Um, defense is probably what they're towards.
Mhm.
But again, the way how we approach free agency, we are I don't know what to expect. So
Hmm.
we kind of did a little bit of everything. We
Mhm.
we got Debo, but then we also got some guys on the defensive side. So
Mhm. Yeah, the left
at
tackle as well.
29, yeah. So it's going to be kind of to see what's there. But if Omarion Hampton's there, because outside of Genty and who else did I take? Trayvon Henderson. He's my
Mhm.
third running back on my list. So
Ooh, I like that. I like that.
yep. So there you go. See, I wasn't going to troll you. I was going to get your boy.
That was a nice one. I approve of that pick.
After watching Austin Eckler from of the ball 3 times in the playoffs, I said they need a running back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
And also too, in fairness too, when he was in Los Angeles with the Chargers, injuries too. But I think
Mhm.
again, because when you're the focal point of the offense too, yeah, Ryan Robinson's a good numbers, right? But you need a true number one. I do like this pick.
I
Thank
agree.
you.
I agree.
Buffalo. You know, when I had to look back at the game, even against us in Kansas City. But against Kansas City, one thing that really stuck out was you got to learn how to get to the quarterback.
Mhm.
And Buffalo doesn't have that. And again, injuries, free agency, and then also to, salary cap. So I went with Walter Nolan with the
Yeah.
30th pick.
Mhm.
I think would be a good fit. Um, they do need another pass rush. Joey Bosa, you're good when healthy, but you're never healthy. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
I agree with that.
I did the same thing you did.
Yep, out of Ole Miss. Shout out to Coach Yo,
Mhm.
McLean, women's basketball coach. Shout out to her. Go good with Ed Oliver because because Walter had 6.5 sacks
Mhm.
this season. I think would be a good fit here. Um, my only concern is I also considered Mike Green here, but again, you've
Okay.
got oh gosh, I can't think of that. I'm drawing blanks on their names now. Because he got Lamar a couple times. He plays on the right side of Ed Oliver. I can't think of his name.
Hmm.
I'm drawing a blank. His name will come to me.
Not Rousseau.
Thank you, Rousseau.
Yeah.
Yep. So, but yeah, I definitely could see Walter being drafted here. for sure. 30.
yeah. That's what I did. That's exactly what I did.
Love it. 31. Well, you have the 31st and 32nd overall picks. I mean, at this point, it's just basically fills. And what Kansas City needs, I still think they need to work on the offensive line. So I went with Josh Corley Jr. out of Oregon. I mean, fun fact: he only allowed 2 sacks his last 2 years of his college career. So, again. Well, Von Miller just didn't really pan out, and then some off the field stuff too. That's a distraction. Yeah, it just didn't work. God bless him though, but it just didn't work. But he definitely he's with back to Josh. He's athletic. I saw some of the stuff at the combine. He's definitely, especially in the run game that Kansas City has. This is the guy.
I like that. And now looking at that with them losing Joe Thuney to the Bears, they definitely need O-line help. For me, in an attempt not to be a homer and pick a North Carolina player for my team, even though I had him available at that place, I picked KC getting Omarion Hampton. I said this is a guy that could be their bell cow back. That way that they could have a guy that they can just almost similar to you guys with Derrick Henry. Not saying Omarion is that good, but if you have just a guy that you could take some pressure off your quarterback by handing the rock off 15, 30 times a game, that could definitely be beneficial to a team that already this is a luxury pick for them. They need a couple things, but when you have a Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, that combination, and Spagnuolo on defense as DC, that combination seems to have worked relentlessly, regardless of who you got in there. But I think Omarion here would help them.
I don't know. I think they need to go off his line heavy. Yeah, he was. Yeah, that's but what was interesting about the game, the Super Bowl, it was like the Super Bowl when he went against Tom Brady, and it was like, am I seeing a repeat of 4 years ago?
And if you look at it, their wins, all their wins have been very close. That they've had to come from behind in, and their losses have been blowouts. And
that was yeah. And then with the last pick in the first round, I said the Philadelphia Eagles said Ty Felton. No, in all seriousness, Nick
the Maryland guy,
Nick Scroton.
Yeah.
So I again defense. Again, I also considered him for here with the Ravens, but I think he'd be a great fit for the Eagles. I also consider James Pierce here, because especially nothing wrong, no shame, buff up your defense. I also consider a corner here because I know what's his name said he was going to retire. Yes, Slay, yeah, and I also consider Walter Nolan here. But there's a lot of this. I think still some great talent left over. Nick Uwari, the safety, I considered him. But yeah, I think he would make the most sense here. Work on the defensive line. I have no issues with it.
I like that. I picked up the corner from Eastern Carolina, Siobhan Revelle. Yeah. And I mean, because of the Darius Slay, and they hit last year with the Quinyon Mitchell and Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, yeah. So they hit with those two guys. Yeah, they hit with those two guys. So I figured, they'll just keep going with that. DeJean, I think it's the same difference. But to Jeffrey's point, I can also potentially see them trading back because they're returning most of their people. So,
but even when you're returning, yes, and the issue is there's something about when you return most of your starters. I don't know what they're going to look like, and
Tampa
if you're going to trade down, exactly, what exactly are you looking for, and what do you want in return when you're trading down? Are you looking for another second round pick? Are you looking for next year pick? What are you doing? So I had City Eagles deck because I have Jackson Dart and Jalen Milroe.
Oh, because you still have them available.
Oh, okay.
Be having his backup because remember Jeffrey was saying he wanted to. That's why he liked to pick for him going to the Rams so he can be sitting behind a guy,
right?
Which would make sense because Hurts has solidified himself as the guy. So if you have somebody coming in backing him up, that wouldn't be a bad idea.
I'm turning down. I'm looking at the Browns. 1, a 6th or 7th, and the 33rd.
Oh, he's trading down.
Trading. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Oh, I can see that.
Well,
are you getting Dart? You said so. Who did he say? Jeffrey, who'd you say you were getting at number 2 for the Browns? And then
because that's right. Because Jalen does not have a backup. I forgot because now Kenny Pickett is in Cleveland. I forgot about that. I completely forgot about that. Yeah.
You got Mason Rudolph though, right? In Pittsburgh.
No. Kenny's in Cleveland.
Yeah, I know. But you talk about who you talking about for the backup?
Well, in Philadelphia.
Oh, yeah.
I would think I would
sit behind Hurts.
Tanner McGee is the backup for the Eagles. Okay.
So I think you can put Milroe or Dart behind him, and I think he's number 2.
I can see that. That was an interesting mock draft, Sean. It's going to be interesting to see. I'd say by the 12th overall pick, I think we get to see how the rest of this draft looks. Because the first 5 picks set the tone, but by 12, 13, you kind of see how the rest of the draft will look. Because I'm a little concerned. I think there's going to be some reaches. I think there's going to be a trade or two there. It's going to be a surprise because I think there's going to be like what the Lions did with that Jack Campbell pick. Yeah, I think you're going to see like a second round or be a first rounder. There's going to be somebody like who you like. Remember like the Patriots a few years ago? They took Cole Strange. We're like, who? That's like I could see something like that because Tanner McKee came and played well. He threw 4 touchdown passes, 0 interceptions. So I think okay.
Now let me ask you this: do you think Tanner McKee, if you brought in Jackson Dart, do you think if there was a QB competition between those two, you think Tanner McKee would beat out Jackson Dart?
Ooh.
As the number 2, because obviously you're not replacing Hurts. But that'd be interesting because I've seen Tanner McKee, I've seen him play, and I agree he is doing. But that offense is well suited for a guy to come in. He said, "Yeah, 100%, yeah,
yep, for sure." So I agree with that.
That's gonna be interesting. I like that.
I like that, John. I liked it. That was our mock draft. Actually, I'm gonna actually have you come back on at some when we do the NFL draft grades because I want to get your thoughts on that as well. But we're going to get into one final thought because there's a conversation that I wanted to have with you, actually sticking with college football. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to transition to one final thought of the podcast.
Thoughts are running through my mind. So just some time to find a minute or two to organize them.
All right, the one final thought. So obviously, you talked about this on your show, College Football Update, and I didn't get the opportunity to see it today. I'm going to watch it as soon as we get off. But I'm pretty sure you know, and most of everyone should know, that Shador Sanders and Travis Hunter are getting their jerseys retired at Colorado. And that sparked a question asked to Dion about players such as Cordell Stewart and others that have played before them about getting their jerseys retired. And essentially, he's basically said, that's not my job. That's
what he said?
That I'm basically paraphrasing. He's basically saying, I'm not doing that. I shouldn't. This is what I asked for, and it got done. What are your thoughts on their jerseys getting retired?
I mean, listen, this is not something that It happens all the time. In fact, while there is almost 100 teams that have, in some way, shape, or form, retired a number or a jersey, you seldom see numbers taken out of circulation like this. And that's the part that I think is kind of a little over the top. Now, right. And so that is my point. Travis Hunter, one of a kind. He's a unicorn. The guy not only won the Heisman, but back-to-back years he won the academic Heisman. The guy was not only the best defensive back, but he was one of the top 10, if not top 5 wide receivers, and won the Blitnikoff Award as best wide receiver. Now, I'll disagree with that just by the numbers. I thought Nick Nash and Fanning, some of those guys did better by the numbers, but Travis Hunter is a threat. He is the first person that we have actually genuinely and seriously considered playing both ways. So, yes, he 100% deserves it. Now, what I will say from Shedeur, I think, finished his college career with the second best completion percentage of all time. He had like 49 straight games where he threw a touchdown. He only threw 13 total interceptions in his 2 years at Colorado, but he never got them to the playoffs. He never in a conference championship. What did he really win? So he's a He's a really good quarterback. Shedeur is a really good quarterback, especially in college, and hopefully it translates to the NFL. But to retire your number? I mean, we're looking at teams like Syracuse. They retired the number 44 after Ernie Davis, Jim Brown, and Floyd Little. All three of those guys, all Hall of Famers throughout the NFL. He retired. They still have that number out there. So to give it to Sanders, it's a little premature for me.
I agree. I don't like it because by that logic of what's going on, Tim Tebow should have his jersey retired. He should have a statue at Florida. Cam Newton should have his jersey retired. Have a statue at Auburn. Talia Tagovailoa should have his jersey retired and should be in the Maryland Hall of Fame. Because
it might be a stretch. Okay.
No, I'm just saying because, like, what Dion was talking about, all you have to do is the bare minimum. Let's be real for a second. What Jackson State, Shedeur was a great quarterback. Absolutely. Andrew Luck, absolutely. They were great. But the SWAC and the Big 12 are two totally different conferences.
Right.
The first year, I get it. Everybody, and you talked about it, they beat TCU. Well, how many games did they win that year? And then
4. This
was their first winning season. So you're retiring your son and his and your second best player's teammates jersey based on what? Like, it's one thing if you came in and won a national championship. That's different. But you got to a bowl game. I mean, like, to me, I really try to, like, that's nepotism to me, all right there, because like, when you have guys like Chad Brown, Cordell Stewart, who are Colorado legends, like, that's disrespectful to them. And even when it was asked, you go, that's not my responsibility. But I get it. I'm not taking anything away from what Shedeur did or Travis did. But I mean, for a team that didn't even get to 10 wins, and here's some other players that have led the Buffs to bigger and better records. That right there, all you have to do is the bare minimum to get your jersey retired. I don't like that. Because I mean,
Yeah.
Eric Bieniemy, if I remember correctly, he went to Colorado too, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like Colorado's been a successful football program. I get it. Dion, he has a cachet, he has all of those things. But I mean, Cordell Stewart's number's not retired. What's the wide receiver that played for us back in the early 2000s? Michael Westbrook. His jersey's not retired. I mean, like, stop.
Yeah. Now, some of those names, I ain't gonna give you Westbrook, but I'll definitely give you Cordell because he reinvented the position, especially when it comes to NFL. There is no splash without Cordell being in the league, and there is not a lot of these mobile quarterbacks don't happen without a Cordell in the league. It, the guy was a good quarterback. He was a really good quarterback. He wasn't elite. He wasn't one of these guys that you're always going to remember unless you think about this guy doing a rollie or this guy, like even his stats. Like I was kind of surprised when I heard his stats, and I watched a lot of those games. He is good, but he also takes a high number of sacks because he refuses to throw. He doesn't want to throw into tight windows and things like that. He can't do that in the NFL. You know what I mean? Like the guy is legit, and I don't want this to be looked at as us taking a shot at him or his dad or any of that, because that's not what we're doing. I just think it's a little premature to sit here and put him in the ring of and retire his number and put him on the stadium. I mean, that's that's like me having a stadium, and because Nate's my buddy. Nate, he's done a lot of good work, and I really like what he's been doing, and he's been riding with me since the beginning. So I'm gonna put him on the name of my stadium. Like, I think it's cool you can do that because you can do that, but it doesn't mean that it cheapens it a little bit to me.
Exactly,
because it's like
I agree. Again, I'm not taking anything away from the success of Travis and Shador, but you're saying the players before you got there, Shador and Travis, even Jimmy Horn and those guys. We're not talking the year, but the season prior, where you told those guys that were on that team that only won one game, you need to go in the portal, get off my team. We're talking about where Eric Bieniemy finished with over a career 1,000 yards. Cordell Stewart, Chad Brown, you are exactly. I mean, you are taking away. You're kind of essentially saying their legacies don't matter. This matters,
right? Saying Colorado didn't start till now.
Yeah, and that's not right. That's not right. So I really do hope that and I feel bad for for Cordell Stewart and Chad Brown because they were good in the NFL. I mean, Chad was a good linebacker in the NFL. Cordell was a good quarterback in the NFL. Eric Bieniemy, Eric Bieniemy, he was good, in college. It just, again, not taking anything away from the success of what Shador and Travis did from Jackson State until last year. But for a team to win last year 9 games and then the year before didn't do anything, hey, we'll retire your jerseys.
And to be clear, I think let me ask you this: what do you think about Travis though? Because I don't have any problem with Travis retiring his jersey. What do you think about him?
I don't have an issue with it, but my thing is again, like those two on their own weren't the only 2 reasons of the success. Are they the top 2 players for why Colorado is where they were? Are they now currently? Yes. Is Travis, like you said, one of a kind? We'll never see that again in college football for some time. Yes. Does he? He's worked his ass off. I think he should. If I had it my way, he'd be the number 1 overall pick. I think Travis is one of a kind. But what my point is I don't have an issue with him getting a jersey retired. My issue is it's the way it's happened.
Okay.
Like if Dion said, well, I'm also going to take this opportunity to honor Chad Brown, Cordell Stewart, even Eric Bieniemy, I'm cool with that. But you just shoved it aside for Shador and Travis and act like I can't. What?
I hear what you're saying.
Where's the clip?
Mm-hmm. I can't defend that. What do you want me to say to that?
Travis is a unicorn. I that's the only thing. It is weird that they did it right away, but for me, Travis is the unicorn. But
I agree.
Shador, it's weird. It's just weird.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know. It's something I wanted to get off my chest because I see both sides of it and I get it, but it's just like, come on, man, like really. And again, I mean, they're going to be great players in the NFL. I wish them all the best, and no matter where they go, you know, they're going to be ready for the pros, in my opinion. Do you have anything coming up on your side of Let's Talk Football? I know we're right now in the off season. Are we doing anything for the draft this year?
Yeah. The college football update will be Tuesday, and I believe Washington Football Weekly will be Tuesday as well.
Okay.
And then Janae and I will be covering the draft Thursday night.
Okay.
And then I think Let's Talk College Football is not going to be back next Saturday because the draft is going to be going on.
Okay. Okay. So then after that, I'm assuming, are we doing like you did a couple years ago where you're bringing on individuals for their teams?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Because
I
would assume after that we were taking a little break until what, preseason or free agency?
No. Right after the draft, Let's Talk College Football is going to recap some of the picks, some of the places, see where they went, and then we start our look into the transfer portal. Where these quarterbacks have gone. Nico Imaliava, where is he going? Jalen Rashada.
He should have stayed at Tennessee.
I can't say I cannot disagree with it, you know, but it is what it is now. We'll see where he ends up, you know. But we're diving into it. We're going week by week into the off season, and stay tuned for still haven't named it yet, so I'll just say Let's Talk Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Me and my buddy Eric Kelly will be talking about the Notre Dame Fighting Irish through the spring practices, into fall camp, into the regular season. One game away from winning a national championship, so I'm going to kind of highlight Marcus Freeman and how he's doing the year after.
I like that.
So
stay
tuned for all that good stuff. And I'm going to try to really start going in depth on North Carolina, the transfer portal, and the basketball team and the football team. Obviously, Bill Belichick's been keeping his name and his girlfriend's name in the news, and I am not happy about it. I don't like the distractions. So
Well, in fairness, you know, Deja Kelly did get a training camp contract with the Las Vegas Aces, former North Carolina Tar Heel. So
nice.
No, we're just waiting to see where Caleb Love will be drafted. More than likely, late first round, mid first round ish. Mm-hmm. So, because he definitely should. Because I think this is last year.
Will he be a Wizard?
At this point, I don't know who they're going to draft. I don't know.
Are we getting flagged? Can we get somebody?
I mean, if Cooper's there, sure. I think they should trade the pick and go after it and try to see if you can get a star, but that ain't going to happen. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to conclude this episode of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. I got one more episode, and that'll be with Brendan Potts. It's going to be an interview with somebody who covers the Dallas Wings. That'll be next Thursday, and then that'll be the last episode for a little bit. Well, actually, take it back. We're going to recap the first round draft grades. I'll bring Sean Spencer back on here. We'll have a conversation about it, give our grades, and then break down the Ravens and Commanders draft picks, because I'm a Ravens and Commanders fans, but Sean also talks Watch the Football Weekly with Will Kramer. Shout out to Will. We'll also go in a deep dive in their picks. And then before you know it, the WNBA season's here. And then NFL season will be here. And then, so definitely tune in there. We're going to try to get some baseball in there as well. I'm going to try to get some baseball conversations in there. Even if I just do like a monthly check-in, see how each team's doing. But, But thank you all for tuning in. Shout out to the 21 people that actually stayed up with us for 2 hours. I much appreciate the support. Again, I will leave Sean Spencer's YouTube channel in the description below. My Twitter as well will be in the description. Please consider hitting that like, comment, and subscribe button for all future content. Again, appreciate the support you're giving me in this channel. You can also follow some of my content on Maryland Sports Blog as I am taking a break right now at the moment after covering the Maryland women's basketball team this season. It was a lot of basketball. So we're getting ready to start it back up soon as we get ready for the WNBA. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, have a good night. I hope you all have a great Easter. Hope you all have a great weekend. And make sure you have plenty of allergy medicine and Kleenex because this pollen is dangerous. So, but ladies and gentlemen, y'all have a good night. We'll talk soon. Peace. Stay up.
I'm elevated, oh yeah. We was waiting, oh yeah. To make a statement, it's clear. The way them boys persevere. Yo, we taking this step.
Thank you for tuning in to Big Nate Sports Talk. If you enjoyed that episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and share Big Nate Sports Talk. It's on all the time, anytime.
And I want to thank you. All I want to do is say thank you.
I'm elevated, oh yeah. We was waiting, oh yeah. To make a statement, it's clear. The way them boys persevere. Yo, we taking the stairs. Don't let them get in our air. They go watch, I'ma stare. Tell them pull up a chair. God gon' answer our prayers. Living now. They told me dreams come true once you live it out. I picked the pieces from my childhood in a broken house. And heal my soul from the trauma we've been giving out. I hear the whispers in the wind under smoky clouds. And tell myself once again, I'ma work it out. So much shit can happen, yo, it got me tripping now. Yeah, it's feeling different now.
I wonder if it's worth living now. They told me working 9 to 5 just to make it out. And now the dark nights got me needing mouth to mouth. Resuscitate my dreams, tell me what it's all about. I wonder if it's worth living now. They told me show a little skin just to make it out. They told me grind until I doubt, till I reach the clouds. Excuse me a little moment while I break out. Never let them take me.